Today is another day to start a new lesson. So, we are the group one. I am Verildan Imapong and my partner is.
Hello everyone, I am Franz Gil Abelia.
So, today we are going to discuss about the chapter one, which is entitled Society as the Foundation of Schools and Schooling. So, without further ado, let's start.
So to start with the chapter 1, which is the society as foundation of school and schooling. So for the introduction, the sociology of education starts with a perspective or theories that provide a framework to search for questions and knowledge about systems of education. A theoretical perspective helps to answer the different questions to be inquired by researchers and how it is being organized to answer queries as it provides a new perspective on how education for future teachers, administrators, and policy makers. So, this set of principles and propositions attempt to explain why things happen, why and how these phenomena are related to each other, and the connection between these two phenomena. Moreover, this will provide a logical perspective or explanations for the different issues related to the systems of education. So, in this chapter, examines the school and schooling from a sociological perspective and provides insight into the different ways on how sociology helps teachers understand phenomena and challenges in the field of education today. This chapter also includes the discussion on the relationship between the society and school and how the society influences the education process. So, let us define first the sociology and education. So, education is a lifelong learning process, which it needs thorough attention on how education policies work and affect those who are being educated. It has many questions that could only be answered by sociologists who understand education. So, why education is a lifelong learning process? Because we are learning day by day. Every day we encounter new ideas, new things, and interact people that can help us in learning new knowledge and um, um, indulging into new trends. So, um, sociologists are mistaken to be people who could tell what is right from wrong and is what is good from bad. So they are mistaken to be like that. But they are actually more into determining possible outcomes of actions, how things work, how policies affect others, and more that bring about new perspectives and innovation, which are very essential in education. So, sociologists and education is talks about how um, public institutions and individuals experiences affect education and how it and its outcomes. It is mostly concerned with the public schooling systems of modern industrial societies, which includes the expansion of further adult and continuing education. So that is the sociology and education. So, the role of sociologists in education is that they investigate and examine people's experiences. So, they want to examine what the people's experiences of education and outcomes by identifying the trends. They also study how education affects the society, how the education contribute or influence the society, the development of the society. Sociologists also analyze social phenomena at different levels and from different theoretical perspectives. So they um, they have different explanations and perspective about the education in the society. Sociologists have many roles in the community. They interact with people in the community or organization in order to fully understand each individual in a group or society, or what the individuals do, what are the functions of individuals in the society. Excuse me. They also the They also study the organizational institutions, which it focuses on its institution, which it is includes politics, how politics influence the society, the improvement of the society, the development, the economics, health, family, religion, and education, how this can help the society and what are their contributions to the society in order for the society to sustain the development. And um, schools are considered to be one of the formal organizations that contribute to the entire society and is interrelated with other institutions such as family. So school are considered to be one of the formal organizations because the school is one of the institutions produces um, that produces quality, standard professional individuals who brings a lot of abilities, skills, and ideas that they have learned through their education journey. Learning starts with the family, right? And for the surroundings. So interrelated interrelated with other institutions such as family. So the family is directly interact with the school, and both are directly connected with one another through the students. The association of family to the school has an effect on the performance and the success of the students. So, what the student learn from their family can affect their performance at school. Next is the lifestyle of people in a society are identified according to their social stratification, their strategies, right? That children need education. Yes, we need education, but not everyone is privileged to be formally educated in a school setup. So not everyone can afford sending them to school. Some children are informally educated at their homes by their children, by their family, sometimes with peers and other people in the environment. So uh, they 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 can still learn learn new things by their family, by their peers, and the people in the environment. They can, through interaction with other people, they can learn new things, and they can realize that have to they need this those kinds of lesson or knowledge or ideas in their lives. And sociologists are very important in schools. The role of education sociologists in the educational system of the country helps helps not just the students within the school, but is extended to the professional world of students who belong to the institution. So, the sociologists, no, they are the one who help us to 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 have a contribution in our institutions, right? So next is the theoretical perspectives in the sociology of education. So social scientists have refined theories for a better understanding of the structure of school institutions or of the educational system itself. So the following are the theory of the theories that have a contribution in the sociology of education. So first theory is the functionalist theory, which it which is the structural functionalism, consensus or equilibrium. We know that equilibrium is what we call the balance line or the equal line by Talcott Parson. So for the major concepts of functionalist is that they focus on the positive function performed by the educational system such as creating social solidarity, teaching skills necessary for work, teaching core values and role allocation. Also starts with the assumption that education is an institution to facilitate the stability of society, which emphasizes the interconnectedness by focusing on how each part is influenced by the other. So, how the society sustain the in the sustain its development, no, and last is happens through passing on society's culture through which uh, which a new generation of children acquire the central norms, values, and culture of their society. So, the implication to education of functionalists is that it established relationship between schools, institutions, and societies, which must fulfill necessary societal functions to produce stability. Education needs to be systematic as a whole to avoid non operational. School's main function is to prepare students to acquire basic knowledge, skills, and values for future employment. So, as what we have uh, not mentioned earlier in the slides, that schools are the is schools are considered to be one of the formal organizations because they are the ones who um, educate the people inside that institution. A basic function of school for socialization is that teaching children to become members of the society in order for them or for the children to have a contribution to the society, and also um, teaching children to be productive members of the society, like um, expressing their showing their talents and skills that they have in order to um, contribute in the society. Selection and training of individuals for position of the society. So we have a lot of trainings now in order for the individuals to have a good performance whenever they are working into a institution and promoting change and innovation. So the functionalist theory, no, it talks about the structure of the society is shaped by its function, no. Ang society is shaped by the individuals on how we handle the society, and the social rules that individuals adopt are shaped by how these roles support the society as a whole. So also the main idea of this is that all aspects of a social institutions, roles, norms, and more serves as a purpose, and that all are indispensable, like dili siya mawala, no, for a long-term survival of the society. It should never be erased, no, mawala. So next is the conflict theory by Karl Marx and Weber Marx. So for the major concepts, focuses on issues of connection, power and inequality, highlighting the competition for scarce resources, focuses on culture as a social product. It questions the functionalists pertaining this assumption that schools are ideologically and politically neutral, that school functions are based on the merit that each learner has the capacity to efficiently improve his or her own ability to meet the demands and standards of the society. Also, it believes that the educational system reinforces and perpetuates social inequalities that arises from differences in class, gender, race, and ethnicity. So, another is Marx contended that schools give a false set of ideas, beliefs to students in terms of education quality. So, some of the um, ideas that were given by the schools are actually in the actually mabilin lang siya sa theory, only remains by a theory, not but it is not possibly happening in real life. Many believe that there is equality and chance of having quality education. Yes, for the implication to education, societies competing groups, the haves and the have-nots, were in a constant state of tension, which could lead to possibly of struggle. Quality education has a set of standards of what is acceptable to be at its best. This gives the notion that inequality in terms of what they may become and could get from their work is also expected. Students are labeled to be achievers and non achievers according to their status in the society. So, you call achievers, you are named achievers when you reach the goals in your life, or um, you have the sustainable, you have a permanent work life or career. Non-achievers, according to their status, is that you name non-achievers because you are um, staying only. You are not productive. You are not expressing yourselves, showing your skills and talents to the society. You have less contribution, I think, when you are named as non-achievers. Then those who are more privileged to have better resources for learning and achieving more are given what they really need to develop their skills and be competent, while those who are not capable and less fortunate are not given the right learning opportunities, that they limit their abilities to what they are only provided with. Yes, that's true, diba? So for the next and the last theory is the symbolic interactionist. So the conflict theory is that a theory that society is in a state of perpetual conflict because of competition of unlimited resources. So there is a conflict talaga if there is unlimited of resources. For example, one institution is lack of um, lack of employees, no? So if that's the problem though, there is um, there is a problem in the development of the society. So the last is the symbolic interactionist. So the major concepts is focuses on how people share symbolic and construct society as a result of their everyday interactions. Then examines what teachers and students do in school. They question even the most commonplace, taking for granted actions and interactions, then things most people do not question. Use cultural symbols such as words and nonverbal body language and gestures during process. People develop a sense of self and create a reality with others. So the implication to education of the symbolic interactionist is that interactions between students and teachers help develop a set of expectation for students' performance both in academic, subject, and discipline. So if there is a good interaction between students and teachers, they will result into a good, also a good result. It will influence, it will have a good influence on the students' performance, both in academic, subject, and discipline. So asking questions in social psychological way on the frequent and familiar relationship between school participants is what interactions do. It is what sociologists of education use as an avenue for the students, teachers, and principals in schools. So students learn through interaction on how they are different from others based on individuals, experiences, social class, and status. So also, yes, we can learn through interacting with other people. We can think that this those ideas can help us in learning new things. No? So the symbolic interactionist, it is a micro level theory that focuses on meanings attached to human interaction, both verbal and non-verbal verbal to symbols. Also, communication is the exchange of meaning through language and symbols. It is believed to be the way in wherein where it is believed to be the way in which people make sense of their social worlds. So by communicating, no, they by communicating with other people, no, they are learning new things, and they can make sense of their society, like they can know what are the happenings in the societies. Also, this focuses on how social interactions and people assign meanings to things around them based on the interpretations of their interactions with others, on how they interpret what the others said. So that's the end of my topic. The next reporter will be Mr. Abelia. So she will discuss about the sociology of education, which is the contemporary theories, and society and school, which is its linkages. Okay, so thank you.
Now let's proceed to the sociology of education, contemporary theories. So we have four theories. We have the cultural capital, the social capital, and the code theory, and the feminist theory. So let's begin with the cultural capital. The person who advocates this theory is Pierre Bourdieu, was a French sociologist and public intellectual. Bourdieu's contributions to the sociology of education, the theory of sociology, and sociology of aesthetics have achieved wide influence in several related academic fields like anthropology, media and cultural studies, education, popular culture, and the arts. So, the concepts is it refers to cultural practices including dress and mannerisms, language patterns and expressions, and knowledge of the world derived from life experiences such as visits to museums, all of which provide knowledge of class culture of the schools. So basically, cultural capital refers to a person's cultural competencies. Example of cultural capital include your accent. For example, every country has their own language and accent when they speak. For example, here in the Philippines, we have so many dialects. We have the Tagalog, Cebuano, Waray, Hiligaynon, uh, Kapampangan, and each of those dialects have also different accents. And how you dress. For example, every country's or places have different culture in terms of dressing. Here in the Philippines, for the women, we have barot saya or in English, blouse and skirt. And for the men, we have the barong Tagalog. As you look at the different countries, you would notice that they have their own style. They have their different culture in terms of dressing and their dress code. So the implication to education, delve into education's influences on stratification and social structure on the subjective experience of individuals, used by schools to reproduce inequality in both in the interactions and in the structure of education. But before we go to that matter, I will explain to you the three types of cultural capital. So, first is the embodied capital. This type of capital also refers to knowledge that we seek out on our own. One of the earliest forms of capital in the embodied state is the ability to study the state is that which we acquire through language. When formal education and culture expect you to not only be able to know your ABCs but to write or recognize words before entering kindergarten. It has become important to be exposed to such things as books at home and to be read too. The next is cultural. The next cultural capital is the objectified capital. It refers to materials, objects that we use to indicate our social class or how much capital we have. This might be the easiest state for us to recognize since we focus a great deal on acquiring things and we often tend to assign social class based on a person's possessing certain material items. The next is the institutionalized capital. Uh, uh, the institutionalized state refers to the way that society measures cultural capital. One of the best examples we have is the type of post-secondary degree that we have and how society tends to view our value as based on that degree. So, different people have different levels of cultural capital. Those with high cultural capital can navigate social situations more effectively than those without it. And education is often a leading indicator to show how likely someone is to succeed and get high scores. Cultural capital refers to ability to understand the culture in which you live and go to school. For example, the culture in North Korean schools is different to British schools. In North Korea, children generally are still expected to be quiet and repeat what the teacher says. So, a British child might struggle to understand the right way to behave if they went to a North Korean school. They don't have the right cultural capital. Think about your culture. It has certain things that we consider to be the cultural capital, like your culture's values, sports that your culture plays, jokes that are acceptable and not acceptable within a culture, slang, terms and saying used in your culture but not others. So let's go to the implication to education. So cultural capital can be a source of social inequality too. It is hard for those who are poor or who are part of the working class to gain the types of cultural capital that are valued in society. For example, having an education and earning a degree is a very important piece of cultural capital. Let's say a student in poverty has difficulty finding time to study because he works evenings to help support his low income family. This leads to poor performance due to his lack of studying, which results in lower test scores, and then being placed in lower ability classes, which in turn affects his GPA and what college he is able to get into if he goes to college at all. And okay, so that's it for the cultural capital. Now let's the second theory is the social capital. So the person who advocates this theory is James S. Coleman. His concepts, it refers to the social resources students bring to their education and future involvement in school or community. It results in building of networks and relationships students can use contacts for future opportunities. Okay, so it means that the social capital theory states that social relationships and networks can provide invaluable resources to the participants involved and leads to development. That is the aim of building social capital: development, productivity, and overall growth. When people with the same goals come together as a group, they can pool their resources, share information, and collaborate at a community level. For example, students' unions in colleges and schools, an association of professionals in the same occupation or organization, and etc. But how exactly can people form such effective associations? The answer is networking. So, networking allows students to connect with peers, teachers, and professionals who can provide valuable resources such as study materials, advice, and learning opportunities. These connections can enhance students' academic experience and support their personal and professional development. So, the implication to education for this theory used to explain the role of schools in reproducing social class. It means that social capital theory emphasizes the importance of networks and relationships within communities. In education, this translates to promoting community engagement in schools, fostering partnerships between schools and local organizations, and involving parent and community members in educational initiatives. By leveraging social connections, schools can access resources, support, and expertise that enhance the learning environment. Okay, so that's it for the social capital theory. Now let's go to the third theory, the code theory. This the person who advocates this theory is Basil Bernstein. His concept refers to organizing principles used by members of a social group which reflects and shape the assumptions we hold about our relationship to a certain group. So this means that in Bernstein's theory, classifications refers to how individuals categorize and organize their experiences, knowledge, and social relationships. Framing, on the other hand, refers to the rules or principles that govern how individuals interpret and understand these classifications. For example, within a professional community, such as doctors or lawyers, there are specific classifications of knowledge and expertise, like For example, the medical diagnosis and legal precedents. These classifications are framed by certain rules or principles, like ethical guidelines, legal procedures, that shape how individuals within the profession interpret and apply their knowledge. So imagine a school where students are divided into different academic tracks based on their perceived abilities or performance levels. This classification system might involve grouping students into gifted and talented programs or regular classes and remedial or special needs classes. Each of these classification represents different levels of academic achievements or perceived potential. In this scenario, the way students are grouped into academic tracks influences how they are perceived and treated within the school community. Differences in curriculum, teaching methods, and expectations between tracks reflect specific beliefs about students' abilities and potential. These classifications and frames not only mirror but also shape the assumptions and beliefs of educators, students, and parents regarding students' capabilities and future prospects. This can significantly impact educational outcomes, affecting students' self perceptions, resource access, academic performance, and overall life paths. So, the implication to education for this theory, uh, people learn their place in the society by the language codes they use. The code comes to symbolize social identity, and language codes aid in the social reproduction of class and differences in power. So, so this implication, the implication of this is that individuals internalize and reproduce social hierarchies and power dynamics through the language codes they use. Those who use the dominant or prestigious, prestigious language codes often have easier access to educational and professional opportunities, reinforcing their social status and perpetuating inequality. Meanwhile, those who use non dominant or stigmatized uh, language codes may face barriers to accessing these opportunities, further entrenching social disparities. Overall, language codes play a uh, overall language codes plays a significant role in the social reproduction of class and power differences in education, influencing individuals' access to resources, opportunities, and ultimately their life chances. And let's go to the last theory, the feminist theory. The persons who advocates this theory is are Harriet Martineau, Jane Addams. Uh, his, uh, their concept, with no single feminist theories echo the need to hear other voices in the education system. In particular, women's voices, and to pay more attention to the situation of women. So, feminist theory aims to understand the mechanisms and roots of gender inequality in education, as well as their societal impact. Like many other institutions of society, educational systems are characterized by unequal treatment and opportunity for women. Based on my research, almost two-thirds of the world's 862 million illiterate people are women, and the illiteracy rate among women is expected to increase in many religions, especially in several African and Asian countries, according to UNESCO year 2005 and World Bank year 2007. So the implication to education for this theory is led to the examination of educational policy and how it affected girls, women, and their future opportunities. So, feminist theory encourages a critical examination of educational curriculum and pedagogical practices to identify and challenges gender biases, stereotypes, and inequalities. This includes revising curriculum content to include diverse perspectives and experiences, as well as adapting teaching methods that promote equity and inclusivity. Okay, so that's all for the sociology of education, contemporary theories. Now let's proceed to the society and school and its society and school, its linkage. So the linkage that connects society and the school is a reflection of the other. It comprises the dynamics for enhancing art education. Arts education, aside from being a part of schools where it is offered, it is also a part of the society where it was born. Schools are considered as pillars of culture when the younger generation receives the knowledge and understanding of what an educational institution has accumulated. There is what we call the preservation of the level of civilization. So society has been defined as the web of social relationship, which is the key to understanding human behavior and the various institutions in it. Ah, So the connection between schools and society is like a two-way street. They both affect and are affected by each other. Schools teach things like art, which is also part of society's culture. When schools and society interact, they can change each other, shaping how our culture evolve over time. Schools are like big cultural libraries, passing down knowledge to new generations, which helps keep our civilization going. Society, on the other hand, is like a big web of relationship between people. In school, students learn about different kinds of relationships, like family bonds. Understanding these relationships help us make sense of the world around us. Okay, so next is the influence of society to education process. First is the socio-cultural influence. The education of society is deeply influenced by its socio-cultural factors, including social structure, norms, and values. Education is a means for passing cultural knowledge from one generation to the next. Socialization occurs informally through community interactions, while religious institutions also play a role in transmitting their ideas. Key concepts such as elite culture, gender roles, and other social cultural features are passed on to younger generations. Sociologists like Pierre Bourdieu and educators like Paulo Freire have highlighted how education can perpetuate dominant cultural norms and either oppress or empower individuals based on teaching methods and language use. So this means that in the socio-cultural influence, the education in a society is shaped by its culture and social ways. We teach the next generation what's important to us, like our traditions and beliefs. This happens informally through interactions in communities and also through organized institutions like religious schools. We pass on things like who holds power, what roles men and women have, and other important ideas. Some experts say that education can keep certain groups in power, while others believe it can help people break free from oppression. This economic aspect. This excerpt highlights the relationship between economic factors and equality of opportunity in society. It suggests that equality of opportunity, a fundamental principle of democracy, is increasingly challenging to achieve in the current economic climate due to the widening gap between the rich and the poor. The demand for certain type of knowledge and education, as identified by Apple in the year 2004, underscores the influence of the economy on educational and human development. Additionally, Karl Marx's perspective is invoked to emphasize the centrality of the economy in determining power dynamics within society, with the educational system playing a crucial role in legitimizing control. Ultimately, it suggests that while the economy generates wealth, educational power sustains it and confers legitimacy in society. So, the economic aspect, this important idea suggests that every person should have an equal chance to succeed and achieve their goals, regardless of factors like their background, where they live, or their family's wealth. It's about making sure that everyone starts from the same place and has the same opportunities to make something of themselves. Uh, and the last is political conditions and its influence. The type of government and its policies heavily influence the education system in a society. In democratic countries, despite the aim for equal education, there often remains inequality, particularly affecting marginalized groups. Soci- Socialist states, on the other hand, prioritize their political ideology in education, as seen in historical examples like the USSR and Nazi Germany. In this in these regimes, schools were used to indoctrinate children with political beliefs rather than fostering critical thinking. Thus, educational institutions can become tools for political socialization rather than centers for learning truth. So, the government and its rules affect how education works. In places where everyone gets a say, like democracies, there can still be unfairness in education, especially for those who are already struggling. In countries that follow socialist ideas, the government's beliefs become a big part of what kids learn in school. Think of how Nazi Germany or the USSR taught kids what the government wanted them to think, rather than letting them figure things out on their own. So sometimes schools focus more on politics than on teaching what what's true, what is true. Okay, so that would be all for our report, and thank you so much for listening. God bless.